Hey there, Station One listeners. Thank you for joining us this one. We have a great one for you this week. We have been waiting to talk about this one ever since they announced, that Natasha, Lyonne, and Rian Johnson was coming together to do a project together. And we are getting, folks, Poker Face. This is awesome to be able to talk about it. A fantastic show that just ended its first season, and we are now already been told we're getting a second one. So I can't wait. They ended it greatly. And folks, if you haven't seen it yet, we are going to spoil the hell out of this one. So put us on pause on YouTube or if you're listening on audio, please put us on pause, watch it. It's only 9 episodes. It's totally worth it. Check it out. You know what? It's definitely worth it, folks. Let's dive in with both feet. We got a great crew here to talk all about it this week. Of course, Mr. Mike Gordon is here.
Howdy.
And we have the returning award-winning author himself, Mr. Bobby Nash.
Hey.
And we're joined by 2 newcomers to the show. First, let's welcome Brad.
Hey.
And Phaedra, last but never least.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It is awesome to have everybody here. This is cool. We put out a call for, saying, hey, we want to, talk about Poker Face, and everybody was like jumping at it. And so we actually had to turn a few folks away, which is pretty awesome. I always love doing that because it makes us almost feel important on the show. So,
you guys feel honored you made the cut.
And you know what? If I'm lying about that, you probably could tell, So it's awesome. It's going to be a great one. If we want to hear from you guys at home, please feedback@ourstation1.com. Definitely let us know what you guys thought of this series. It's awesome. It is just awesome. Mr. Mike, you ready to take it away, sir?
I am. Yes. This was an amazing show that sort of, I don't know, for me anyway, came out of nowhere. But I was pleasantly surprised to be on board from the very first episode. We'll start with you, Phaedra. What did you know going in? What were your expectations going into this series?
I heard, Natasha Lyonne and Rian Johnson were doing a thing, and I love both of them. Like, I've loved Natasha Lyonne since Slums of Beverly Hills. And but I'm a cheerleader, but I didn't realize that until later. And I love Glass Onion and Knives Out and Last Jedi. Like, everything Rian Johnson has done so far has been amazing. And I love murder mysteries. Like, I spent the summer just binge reading all of the Agatha Christie novels. And so I was just like, okay, murder mystery with a great director and a great actress. Like, it really can't go wrong. I hope, so yeah. And I wasn't disappointed at all. I was so excited. And then when I got invited to do this, I binge watched the whole season again over the weekend. So
wow.
Take notes and stuff. And yeah, no, really, it's something I'm going to be rewatching a lot.
Excellent. Yes, no bullshit detected there at all. Thank you for that. Brad, what about you? What were your expectations going into this?
So I came into it just coming out of watching the Russian Doll, and so I actually posted it to my workplace. I said, hey, you guys got to check out this Russian Doll. It's really interesting. And then somebody replied and said, well, if you like that, you should check out Poker Face. And very similarly, I had been coming out of reading and watching a lot of mystery novels. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then I said, well, we'll give it a shot. And then I played it, and I'm like, I was just like wowed. Like, it was just from the start. It was very surprising to me how much they did it differently. I was so thrilled that it wasn't one of those, what do you call it, reboots of something. Like, it had a fresh style to it. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, very well. Yeah. Bobby, what about you?
Well, I had before I had started, I knew that Natasha Lyonne was starring in it, and I knew that Rian Johnson was writing and directing and I do enjoy their work. But I was late getting into watching it. It was 3 or 4 episodes were out before I started, just because of schedule. And in talking to a few people, I also learned beforehand that it has that very Columbo-esque feel to it, which I love. I love that format. And actually, probably the best way I heard it described was if if David Banner from the 70s Hulk show was solving crimes without turning into a monster. That's kind of the setup, which I kind of thought, well, that's interesting. And so I went in knowing that it was a mystery, knowing that it was her on the run, traveling from place to place, solving mysteries, and the Columbo thing. That's what I knew. I was not expecting, some of the other things we got, like the guest cast, which is phenomenal, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, and just just a lot of the way that Charlie does things was so unique, a different kind of crime fighter than we're used to seeing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mike, what about you?
Well, for me, I had heard originally about this probably in an interview with Rian Johnson. I think it was actually on Mark Maron. He was talking about that he had hooked up with his friend Natasha, and that they were planning on doing a murder mystery. And because he was doing promos for Glass Onion, and I had known Natasha Lyonne from American Pie. I had known her from Orange is the New Black, and then Russian Doll was just amazing and everything. And I could not rave about that series enough. Especially the first season was just completely awesome. And just hearing that they were teaming up on a project that was supposed to be a throwback to the old 70s detective shows that Rian had grown up with. And I was like looking forward to it. And then when I saw the new trailer for it, the very first one, I was hooked. And, a human lie detector. And, at first I thought she was going to be working with the police or something like a Columbo or, but then it was more, she ended up being more like Jim Rockford than even Columbo.
Mm-hmm.
So, which was even better, I thought. And I was like, how is she going to get through this? How is she going to get out of this thing? And each episode was just amazing. And you didn't have to watch a previous episode except for I recommend the first one to tell you how the story starts, but otherwise, no.
Yeah, I thought that, because a lot of shows would have taken this premise, and in episode 2, she would have been partnered with a cop.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And so they kind of, spun our expectations against us. I like that.
I just recently read, and I literally mean recently, before this started, read an article. They had to fight for that. They had to fight for standalone episodes, for in the creation for it. Like they wanted it serial. They wanted bingeable, long arcs or whatever. They're like, no, we want it to be episode by episode, so, and they got it, but it was something that, they had to fight for.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting too, because you really don't need to even watch them in order if you didn't want to. You could, except for the first and the last ones of the season.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, because
the last one, does show you the order they went in, but
right.
Yeah. And just the highlights, because as we find out, I mean, the whole first season takes place in over a year, so time frame. So think of all the adventures we missed.
As you pointed out to me the other day, she did spend quite a number of months on Shit Mountain.
Yes.
She did.
Yes,
she did.
That was before it was called Shit Mountain, though.
Yeah.
I know it was supposed to take place in Colorado. I live in Colorado. That could have been 2 months, honestly. It really does go it's 65 degrees today, but there's still in the shade snow on the ground because the sun hasn't melted it yet. So, I mean, that could have been 2 months, but it probably was 4. But it's like the weather here is wild. So
I think in some ways I went in as colder than the rest of you, because all I knew going in was that Rian Johnson had a show that was a murder mystery show. And I knew Natasha from other things, but I don't think she made much of an impression on me because I didn't really instantly remember her. But now I definitely do. She's definitely made an impression on me now, and not just in front of the camera. She had a lot of input behind the scenes of this season too. I mean, she takes complete ownership of this show, which is great to see.
Well,
I always love it when.
How could you not remember the hair and the voice? You know,
right? That is, yeah.
And the attitude.
Yeah.
True.
And she directed an episode, I believe.
She did.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So Charlie Cale is right there with Benoit Blanc. You know, maybe someday they'll meet. That would be really awesome, right? Like, because we have a Rian Johnson verse, so to speak. You know, that'd be cool. But yeah, like you guys have already said, I mean, I'm big into mysteries. I especially do remember the NBC mystery movie of the week that Columbo was just one of. But certainly Columbo was the standout. I am doing like this year, I've been doing a complete rewatch of all the Columbo episodes as well. So, I mean, Columbo is really on my mind, and yeah, Poker Face has a lot in common with Columbo in all the good ways. It's really the fact that it is standalone. I mean, there's what do they call them? Mythology episodes, right? Or whatever that are sort of like the ongoing mythology of the show, but really they are standalone, which is nice to see as well. But we will see that like those episodes do kind of build. I mean, when you see them in order, and you see like certain characters come back or certain growth in what she's going through. I mean, they do kind of make sense from that perspective as well.
It almost has that feel of the old The Fugitive, because the Gerard was not in every episode.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like those were the ones where Gerard gets close. Those are kind of the ongoing one. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You didn't have Benjamin Bratt's character coming in every episode chasing after her, you know, gotta leave town, you know, and everything.
And I think that was smart, because I think we would have got tired of that.
Yeah.
And it's but it's also interesting too, because Charlie became smarter too about, you know, gaming the system and everything. Oh, if she used her ATM card, they would be notified within 45 minutes. Or was it? I think it was
4 hours.
4 hours.
They'll be there in 4 hours. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So she knew.
Exactly. And that was pretty awesome. But I have to talk, you know, the format of the show, how they did the murder mystery, you know, the setting up of the murder at the beginning of the show. And then after the first commercial break for it, they then came back in time and added Charlie into it, and how she fitted into it, which was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was
I
just
enjoy
awesome.
that. I enjoy that format a lot, because it's just like how did you catch them? You know, because it's just like the surprise isn't that the person died. It's, you know, how's this person going to slip up and you know have her catch them.
Yeah, the obviously the fact that it's the NBC movie, it's the format, the credits and everything like that. And the comparisons with Columbo there, because you've got this sort of like, you know, everyman kind of person solving crimes, who's rather unkempt, you know, and smokes a lot. Like there's a lot of but the main thing I think that brings it close to Columbo is there's like two kinds of mystery shows. One where you're trying to guess who done it, like an Agatha Christie, as you were pointing out, and the other one where you know who did it. You're just trying to the fun is watching how they're going to get caught. And how the protagonist is going to catch them.
And who done it and who catch 'ems.
Exactly.
The
right.
terms.
Right. Yeah. And this is more of a who catch 'em. There is a few times when it turns into a who done it as well. But for the most part, it's like Columbo in that way. And I do think the format really works, because they do one step that Columbo doesn't do, which is, the fact that she's there throughout the whole first part of setup. We just don't see her. And that's definitely a Rian Johnson aspect. I think that's Rian Johnson bringing that to the table. I mean, he kind of did something similar in the last Knives Out movie, Glass Onion, where we see things from a different perspective, and suddenly we like, oh, okay, now it means a lot. It means something quite different to us, you know? And that's exactly what's going on every time you watch Poker Face. You see some things from a certain point of view, and then, you know, as Mike said, the commercial break, even though I didn't have commercials, But
But you still had the break. You had still the break
I
where the
well,
commercial
still
went.
did the- yeah.
Peacock. I have commercials. That
yeah.
but yeah.
So, so Phaedra, let's go back to you. Like, what is either an episode or a moment in the show that really made this show series sort of rise up above the norm for you?
For me,
Yeah.
Oh no, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I like them all.
But I mean, was there some part where you watched the show, you're like, man, this is better than like almost anything else on TV?
So, one of like for the stall episode and the whole MAGA racist dog thing and just like the barking dog. Like I'm a dog walker, so I, just like sitting and just having the dog just bark, 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 and I'm just like, this is the worst car companion ever. And it was just like, it was, I don't know, like I laughed at that. Like when I rewatched it this weekend, I laughed aloud again just because it's like, the dog was just so happy, listening to, as we find out later, the black radio host is just putting on voices and he's just like, oh, I'm in my happy place now listening to hatred. And it's just like, yeah, I can say like that's one of my ones. I mean, like, I don't know. And I like, I guess overall, I just like how she, except for the last episode because that's more about her, but like how she has a friend in each episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it really feels like she's like still trying to save her friend Natalie. And and that's like she's just trying to make up for it or atone for it or whatever. And like it just and it just she's compelled to help. And like how her sister Miss Clea Duvall, who's also amazing. It's just like, you want to, you got a good heart, but it's just, you give it to the wrong people, and I don't know. I guess that's what I'll say. It's hard to pick like one moment because
Sure.
I'm still in the bask of like, I love this whole show, so it's just like,
That's awesome.
After 5 or 6 rewatches, I'll be like, okay, I'll watch this episode right now. But yeah.
What
Brad,
I
what
loved
about you?
about it though is that, sorry, I was just adding on to what Phaedra is saying. Each time you see it though, you see something different. It adds on to it. That's one
Rian
of the
Johnson,
great things. That's Rian Johnson at his best and everything. Because he wants you to look in the background. He wants you to look at the side characters, and which is pretty amazing. Especially that episode like with Nick Nolte in it. And in the studio that he had and everything. It's like it all comes into play, which is pretty amazing.
Brad, what about you? Was there a particular episode, scene, sequence, character that really like put the show over the top for you?
So for me, hands down, it was the drummer and the episode. Like so they're driving and he's watching Benson in the back, and I'm like, Benson, what? Why is he watching Benson? Like, I don't. At some point, I'm like, what year does this show even take place in?
Yeah,
and then at the very end, they're like, okay, we're gonna get rich off of this song that we killed him for, and the copyright guy comes in and he stole the Benson song as the background beat, and I'm just like, that is awesome.
And you realize it when you hear it. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah. And watching that episode again, like you hear it as soon as it plays, I was like, oh man, that really is Benson. Like in every episode, he has a little foreshadow of things that are going to be really important, but yet they're so innocuous that you're just like, whatever. And then
and his whole lyrics came from different candy wrappers and stuff.
Magpie.
And just putting it all together, I'm like, whoa, like that's cool.
Well, and that's the beauty of good mystery writing, because when you writing mysteries, the clues are hard because when you're writing them, you know what they are, so they feel very obvious to you when you're creating them. What they do beautifully here is they put some in there that are so obvious that we see them and go, that's a clue, but then there's others like those that get by us, and then at the end of it, but they're playing fair enough that when it's revealed, we kind of have that aha moment, and we go, oh yeah, I remember that was important. And that's really one of what makes the writing on this so good, is that they are able to play fair, have all the clues. I hate watching any kind of mystery and the one clue that points to the villain is one we, the audience, didn't get to see. So I love that they're playing fair and all of that is there. They're putting everything in the episode for us.
He respects the the audience, the
Mhm.
intelligence of the audience. Like, it's not, here you go, here's the clue, let's
Yeah.
have the camera sit on it for 40 seconds, and and it's
No,
just
they
like
graze right over
they
it.
graze right over,
Yeah.
but you see it, like when you rewatch it, you see it, and it's just like, it's really nice to, it's not dumbed down, but it's also not looking down. It's not, I don't think, elitist or anything like that either. It's just like, no, it's here, just and I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, because some of them have been really simple clues, like the time the guy spends showing her what wood smells like.
Oh,
You know,
exactly.
in the moment, that does not seem all that important, but at the end,
Just-
that's very important.
Right. And
And
it's
so,
like,
Well,
this
even-
guy, he just
but-
knows his craft, so he knows
Exactly.
the wood, and he's really passionate about it. And then, yeah, exactly.
But even in that episode, when the brother wanted to quit the business all of a sudden, and you're like, why is he's this master cooker, and he's like, why does he want to? He gets out of it. Then when you go back and add Charlie to the, and you show that he's giving him movies, and and it's like, oh, this one's really cute. This one called Okja, and it's just like,
I haven't finished it yet, though. So
exactly. And and I remember watching that with William, and he says, "Dad, do we have to eat meat anymore after seeing that?" And it's funny as heck, and all the little things too, or the episode that was the second to the last one, the escape from Shit Mountain, and you have some great characterizations in that, and it is awesome. And I love how Charlie was teaming up supposedly with the other grifter, and Mortimer.
Family name, yeah.
and I love, because the actress in that, because she was just in everywhere, everything, all at once.
Yeah, she's the only one that lost the Oscar.
Yeah, she was the only one.
But she got to be on Poker Face, so it all worked.
Exactly.
That's right.
So it worked
Exactly.
out.
Exactly.
And it was awesome because you also had Jordan, you also had Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you had and David, who was from Umbrella Academy, and it was just everybody they're getting on this show is
Phenomenal guest cast.
Yes, exactly. And it's awesome because there's even the little things with that. And I loved, how she, even cut off his little signal thing for him to, how that's how he got caught and everything. And she did it out of instinct type thing.
Yeah. Well, that's another smart thing too. I mean, they're not falling into the trap of she's getting people arrested every episode.
Not
like
at all.
Some of these people, like the race car driver, technically gets away with it.
Yeah.
But she has screwed with his head so much that he's going to be his own downfall.
Right.
Exactly.
So and the Cherry Jones in the Nick Nolte episode, her, it gets in her head so much that she goes over the edge. And so
quite literally.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so that's really smart that they found a way to do that because she's not a cop and technically she's wanted by the police.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for her to turn people into that. Although the one FBI agent keeps getting promotions off of her, which I love. I think that's hilarious.
For me, as much as I like the first episode, which sets up the premise, and then the second episode sort of and reinforces that premise of what we're going to get. And both of those are given to us by Rian Johnson. I was kind of worried, when episode 3 and 4 happened, and it's like, no, Ryan's not directly involved with these episodes. And I'm like, oh, are we going to see a drop? But if anything, I think not only was it consistent, but in some cases, it kind of even rose up higher. Like for me, the key episode that I was like, okay, this is on another level that's just operating at the highest level, and this is going to be like I'll be surprised if this is not my favorite TV series at the end of the year, and we're only in March. But it's episode 5, Time of the Monkey. The getting to know those 2 ladies at the retirement home, Irene and Joyce, getting to know them,
So
and Charlie, watching Charlie get to know them, and we think we know them as well, and we're taking them at kind of not so much face value, but just at at what Charlie sees in them, and then to find out that through the course of events, they are like two of the most evil women that we've ever run across. It's done so well, and there's no cheating involved, except for maybe a flashback that's not really honest, like a flashback, but still, that's the only thing where it feels so natural and earned that you don't like. You don't like go, oh well, you're just cheating, Rian, and you guys are just cheating and using these things to make us feel this way. Instead, it's earned, it's well done. I can't think of another show that has, that's really done that to me in a long time.
It was interesting too, because in that episode you said there was the flashback, and you saw the flashback that Charlie wanted to see, where they were putting the flowers in the pots and everything, and then you saw what was really happening.
They were telling,
Yeah.
Exactly.
They left out.
They left out the little part about putting, metal pieces inside the pressure cookers and everything.
It just goes to show you, like, even though Charlie has this superpower, like she is a mutant, right? Like she has this superpower. She can be fooled. She can still be fooled,
I think Charlie wants to believe the best of people. And I think that's part of her. That's what her sister, like when she said, she's got a big heart and everything. So like, she has these women, and they're like, and they're just these old ladies that get high and just are, damn the man and all this, everything. And, and she's like, oh man, like this is cool. Like, and she bonds with them. So of course she doesn't want to think that they were going to be blowing up children, and they're like, of course we were going to blow up children. Why wouldn't we? And it's just...
yeah. Whose automatic first thought is, oh yeah, they're going to blow up children. Right. They're the kind of people that want to blow up children.
Yeah. And it's also good too, because some of the times the reasons that she catches on to the fact that they're the bad guys, like I said, they say something that makes her go bullshit, or the race car driver says something about, oh, it was just an accident, and she goes bullshit,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love too that they play, as we talked about, they're subverting our expectations. They're casting people that you don't normally cast as villains. Like those two actresses in the Monkey Time, those are people that generally play good guys. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is usually a good guy.
Yep.
Ron Perlman,
has he ever played Joseph Gordon-Levitt? Has he ever played like a dick like that? Like
but it's not often. Yeah,
right. Yeah,
no, but then you get Ron Perlman, who you expect to be the bad guy,
right? And he wasn't,
and that turns out to. And I'm going to steal this one from Mike Gordon, because he said this to me the other day, that it's the battling Perlmans, which I did not realize until he said it.
They just took one Perlman and replaced him with another.
Yeah,
she's always going to be running from Perlman.
Yeah.
Well, it is 5 families, right? So I guess it's 5 families of Perlmans. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But
she's got the Bad Batch on speed dial, so Charlie might be in trouble.
Well, that is the 5 families right there.
But that was one of those things. It's like I felt it was one of those aha moments. Like I never put that together until Mike said it, and I was like, holy crap, they do have the same last name.
Yeah, I remember seeing
no relation.
Perlman's name in the credits, and I was like, "Oh, that voice sounded. That's why that voice sounded. I haven't heard it in ages, but it did sound familiar." And
and I thought that was great, and it sets up the next season, so we're going to get more of her out there on the run, and
it's going to be interesting though with that, because she will have allies too, because she will have the Southwest family supporting her, because they're at war with the 5 families now because of what they did with the assassination.
And
the FBI guy.
I expect we'll see him again. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
For sure.
And each time he's going to be asking her to,
like, please.
Are you sure you don't want to join the FBI?
I also would not be surprised if somewhere along the line, because Charlie's making allies through all these episodes, I would not be surprised if somewhere down the line, someone she's helped could be a valuable asset later. Like I could see Louis Guzman showing up again.
Yeah, because I'm like, a lot of people she ended up helping ended up dying.
Yeah.
So, well, so because I when I noticed that trend, I was like, I wrote down like, all right, who she friended and who they were, And
Yeah.
so the Marge, the truck driver, not large Marge, she got out of jail, so she might run across her. Yeah, George got murdered. Gavin got murdered. Joyce and Irene, if they bust out of prison, they might try to come after her.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
There's that.
Phil, the stagehand from the
Yeah.
exit stage
Yeah.
murder, then the driver, and then Raul.
Mm-hmm. And then the mechanic was still alive, and the girl in the convenience store was still alive.
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
I
his name is
you
Abe,
know
Honest
I,
Abe.
it'll be interesting to see, but to be honest with you, if it's just her, like that's
Mhm.
enough for me.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
that's I don't want this to become like Team Charlie. Like
Well, no.
Yeah.
No.
I like the format where it's basically Charlie against the world.
I loved how
and
Charlie though forgot the phone number of the FBI agent,
And
and she was calling up. She was just
One.
going, "I know it's off by one digit."
I don't know, Phaedra, maybe you can tell me because you've watched it more, but I got a feling that like every person she called is somebody like I should know from like a deep cut of Rian Johnson's, but I didn't watch it and catch any of that in time, so I don't know if those are Easter eggs, because I'm like they just seem like they were like a great spot to put Easter eggs in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you one thing that I love. Okay, so once it's established what her power is, and yeah, it's always fun to, somebody lies and she says bullshit, and we go from there. But what really, really, really I love, the thing that really I get so excited and makes me so fun to watch these scenes is when someone knows her power and has to lie to her. Like Benjamin Bratt is some of the
Mhm.
best acting I not that he's a slouch when it comes to acting, but man, the scenes with him and her in particular where he has to dance around her questions,
Mhm.
and a not have her catch him in a lie, but also not have her realize that he's dancing around. So because Charlie trusts him and goes with him a lot longer than you would think he should,
Right.
because he's so good at dancing around her power, which is
Mhm.
so fun.
And it
Yeah.
also it seems that him and the old man, like they have a history,
Yeah.
like it's been the
Yeah.
three of them for a long time. Like,
Yes.
because even his son, is Adrian Brody, right? That played his
Yeah.
son, and
Yep.
and he was just, and when he's like, "We're gonna do this," she's like, "Is your dad okay with this?" Because she's still like, "I work for your dad," like I don't,
Well-
you're, so it's just like
Mhm.
she trusts him implicitly because he's been there for her, like they've had this history. So she was like, "Why wouldn't I?" And
Yeah.
he, because he never lied to her or anything like, or that she knew of,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
Well, and it was
Well-
always interesting because what Benjamin Brandt was doing was he was doing an old improv trick. Basically when somebody asks you a question, you respond with a question.
Right.
So that way you don't get caught in a lie, basically.
Yeah. I also think too, from what we get in that last episode, had Charlie not gone on the run and Benjamin Bratt's character been sent after her, he probably wouldn't have killed the old man. That year really
Yeah.
Because
him.
he was originally sent to bring her back to be killed, and then
Right. He's like, this is not my job.
Mhm.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
It
we
is
got
your
we got to
job
see,
now.
we
Yeah.
got to see him go through a lot, and
He
reason
did
enough
get-
to kill him.
He did get to binge watch all of Burn Notice, so it can't be that bad.
That's the other thing. How can I not love a show that constantly references Burn Notice, another one of my favorite shows? It's like, damn you, like this is so good. I think that's the one thing that places it among, like, you can tell it kind of is a little bit more in the present, because otherwise, with her car and the fact that she smokes a lot and everything like that, and it's like, and they don't really, this doesn't really rely on cell phones.
There were smartphones though. I mean, and
Yes.
iPads. So
Mhm.
it was,
Oh, yeah.
she didn't have one, but it was like,
Right.
there was tech there, and the cloud. That was another one, like the
Right.
cloud, and like,
Mhm.
the pictures being broadcast to your TV through the cloud.
Yes.
So it's like, there
and
was a little
facial
bit of
recognition.
right. So there were a couple of things, but also like, I do like that that tech was there. It wasn't like, like what horror movies have to do. They have to find a way to cut out everybody's phones or, remove it. Like it was there, it just wasn't like very obviously removed, or it also wasn't at the forefront either.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Having a character like Charlie who is not overly tech savvy. That'd be like my dad going on the run.
Yeah.
None of that technology's going with him.
And that just brought up a thought to me, because at the end, Beatrix Hasp, she's like, yeah, he did everything on tape, but we have tech. So it'll be interesting to see, like, next season as they're chasing after her, if they're able to catch her faster, or if they're able, or catch up to her faster, not catch her, but because like I wonder how tech's going to play in, because
so basically it's going to become person of interest. Got it. Okay.
well, the fact is, I mean, she wants to be off the grid. So I imagine that she's going to try to stay away from as much tech as she can, unless it's absolutely like, not a choice. But and the times where she has gotten, like, her name's gotten out there have been not her choice at all. So
like the Krampus thing. And
yes, exactly.
Well, and also staying off the grid makes
being hit by a car.
Makes her finding employment is a writing challenge as well, because you don't even you don't get jobs at fast food restaurants without a background check these days.
No.
So that limits the kind of work she can do. And so they've been really smart in playing all that. And then, like she said, after being on the run a year, even she says, I'm kind of good at this. So
and it was perfect though, because that's how they end the first season, because at the time when they filmed it, they didn't know if they were coming back. Right. It was a perfect ending. If they would have ended the series right there, it would have been she's out on the road, on the run from now on, type thing.
There were a couple of things that threw me off. So when they're recording, he's recording the audio on the MP3 player or whatever that device is, because I've never seen a device like that before. And I'm like, well, why didn't he just record that on his phone? And then when he plays it, he puts it into a machine at the studio, and because I'm a computer guy, that's running Windows XP. I'm like, why is it running Windows XP in 2023? Like, what's that all about? So there's tech there, but like you said, they're not making it obvious where all that fits in. It's not an important part of the story. It's just enough to keep that sort of plot line moving. So I don't think they'll do a lot in tech, because they're mixing this old style from, like, even with the credits, like this old style show like you were at the 80s, with some modern stuff as they need to bring it in order to tell the story. So I think the rule is, if we need it to make the story move, we're going to use it. If not, we're going to just kind of keep it mainstream, not go into that tech aspect.
Yeah, it reminded me, what you're saying there reminded me of like the Batman animated series. Like, he's got computers, but they're all in black and white.
Yeah.
They don't have cell phones, but they've got, this other, so yeah, it's almost like they're cherry picking it so it can be really any time period.
Yeah. Gotham did that as well.
Yeah.
They would mix up that technology a little bit.
Yeah. Like they had cell phones, but none of the cars were older than an 80s model.
Exactly. Exactly. And she's a throwback to 70s characters. I mean, she smokes. That would not be allowed on network TV. Not only does she drinks and drives.
Oh, yes, she does.
She
picks up strange dogs.
She doesn't like animals either.
No. She swears a lot. I mean, this is not. I mean, she is not. This is a character that's made for streaming, right? Yeah. This is not a character that you could see on network TV, let alone the format being not. I mean, there are series that are episodic. Obviously, some of the biggest shows on TV are episodic. They're not mythology, like NCIS and Law and Order. Like, you can watch, those are just completely episodic. And those are like usually the biggest shows on TV. People don't talk about them like they talk about Game of Thrones, or like they talk about, these other shows that are streaming, and they don't get all the awards, but they get usually huge ratings. And that's because, like, generations and generations and generations of folks watch these shows. Older generations watch these shows. But they're not like the hip new shows, right? And you would kind of expect that this one, would be in the more hip category, but it pulls a lot from established TV of the past and shows that it can still work, I think.
Yeah, certainly that it hits you right in the face with the typeface and that bright yellow, that yellow orange, title and font. Yeah, definitely right out of the 60s and 70s.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
That was what was wonderful. And I do like, that this is not made for network TV. This is, this is made for streaming, like you were saying with the cursing and the drinking stuff. But, even a lot of the sexual innuendos and, even Charlie's ring in the final and everything.
Yeah, you couldn't have done that on NBC.
No.
And the little girl using it as a curler for the
and
Barbie
she's
doll.
like, yeah, it's for my hair too. I did like how the ring kept getting back on her.
It's like,
how did this happen?
How does this happen?
But
it was a talisman. It did get her out.
She did knock, when she hit Benjamin Bratt in the face.
It's a weapon.
Took out his eye.
It's a weapon. I would not.
But it also was a big clue device because the blue light in it, the black light in it. So
right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything works on multiple levels on this show. I mean, that's why it's so smart. I mean, nothing is throwaway. It feels like.
Mm-mm.
I'm curious.
Something that you think is not going to pay off in that particular episode will pay off in an episode after that. So
I'm curious to watch it again, like Phaedra was saying, to see what I pick up the second time, because now I know. I'm not really surprised.
Stuff and it's like just murder, like when you watch, like I've watched Knives Out like a lot, and Glass Onion I've only watched like 3 or 4 times. I rewatch things a lot. Like but like you see like just like little things. It's just like one of the things like I picked up just rewatching the first episode. Like they're watching that clip when her and Natalie is at her house and they're watching Pulp Fiction, and he's talking about like Kane from Kung Fu just wandering around, and like that's what she does the whole show, and it's just like that little thing just drop like and a lot of stuff, just like Columbo. It's like it's diegetic. It is diegetic. Like it's not like the music and everything like that. It's stuff that's in the background. It's it's not added over, but like it's like, oh, I'm watching this TV show and it's this, or like the Benson in that other the other episode.
Yeah, and even the burn notice, because all of the burn notice clips were him pressing a button to blow something up, which then he does later to kill the lights.
So
right. But all the clips that he was watching, he was
so it did. Okay, and that's
but I also love too with Rian Johnson. This is the second character he's created with that kind of superpower, because in Knives Out, Ana de Armas's charter, when she lies, she throws up. So there's a lot, there's some similarities there with those, with lies and the truth and being able to sense those things. And
I am so okay with them being in the same universe.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
And that would be one heck of a team up, wouldn't it?
Oh yes. That would be. Okay, so we know, as Mike said, that this has been we're going to get a second season of this. Real quick, Phaedra, we'll start with you. Is there something that you want to see in the second in a season of this? Something that either they haven't hit on yet, or that you just think would be fun?
I want to see, because one thing I also noticed that they do explore different mystery tropes, like the way I like the theater one, because it was like, oh, it's this type of, they're trying to kill each other, like, oh no, they were actually conspiring together to kill the wife, and it's like that, like double triple cross, like that type of thing. So that's very
Agatha Christie.
And I want to see more mystery tropes being played out, and in different like scenarios and stuff, or like, but just like that are familiar. I don't know what else. It's just like, I would like cool, like see who else other guest stars show up. And but yeah, just like, I don't know, like I just more of the same, but just like different stories, which I think Rian Johnson is completely capable of. And and the people that he brings on to direct and everything, like he brings quality people, and I just like just good storytelling. Like there's been like this and Cabinet of Curiosities and Andor, it's reminding me what good television is supposed to be, because our bar has been lowered for the last decade or so, I feel. And then like you're watching this stuff and you're like, oh right, this is what this is like what, like, I remember, like, I had this feeling when I watched the X-Files, or I had this feeling with this, and I haven't had this feeling for a long time. So I'm just looking for a resurgence in good storytelling. And, like, Rian Johnson has proved his mettle. So, like, he keeps creative control, and he doesn't become like a super ego person and stops caring about the story and cares more about himself, because that also can happen with people. So yeah, just better story, like continued better storytelling, and more parts of the back parts of the United States that people don't really think, because she's got to stay off the grid, so she's not going to be in major cities. It's going to be
Right.
That type of thing.
I see Alaska in their future.
Mm.
Brad, what about you? What
So
final
I
thoughts,
want
and what do you
yeah,
want to see coming up?
I want to see Rhea Perlman because I heard her
Mhm.
voice. Now I need to see what she looks like. That's a big thing. And I unlike
It'll look like
you
Sid.
guys, unlike you guys, I only seen the season one. I only watched it once,
Mhm.
and maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed it. But do we know what it was that Natalie found that caused the whole thing to happen? Do they explain what she found?
No.
No, but it had to be bad if he got taken down by the FBI.
Right. I'm
You
like,
know?
what
Like,
what did she find that I just like to know? Like it kind of left it. I'm
Mhm.
like, this whole series happened because she goes into a
It,
room, she finds something. What
mhm.
was it?
Yeah, that's
from
true.
what it sounded like, I think it was probably like child trafficking or something like that.
It was
Yeah.
something really
Something
disturbing.
like
Yeah.
it was
probably
because they
human
had been.
trafficking,
I'm
like-
not sure I want to
because
see
it was they were
Yeah.
talking about it in the first episode
Well, yeah,
about that story and stuff.
Yeah, I suspected that that's why we saw the Pulp Fiction clip, because Pulp Fiction, we never find out what's in the briefcase.
Mhm.
Right.
I kind of made that kind of connection that
Right.
it's like this. They're not going to tell us. They're letting our
Marcellus'
imagination,
soul.
Right.
yeah, fill in how
Yeah,
bad
I'm
it
okay
is.
with not
Yeah.
finding it out, but it
No.
is cool to speculate what it is. But you're like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
Bobby, final thoughts
Yeah.
and what you want to see next?
I definitely love I love the fact that each episode almost feels like a play because it's very small casts, small locations. I don't want that to change, but I think
pandemic's over, dude.
Right. I think it might be interesting for at least one episode to see Charlie in a bigger place with a lot more people around or something, just for a change of pace for an episode, just to see, how she would react, with her superpower, dropping her in the middle of New York City.
Oh,
Well, apparently just dropping her in a barbershop is hell
Yeah.
enough.
She almost went nuts. She was
Yeah.
Twitch. I loved
Yeah,
that, like how she kept very
so
animated, just
Yeah. Yeah, because the fact that putting her in those locations and I think like Phaedra said, playing with more of the tropes. There are so many mystery tropes that we've seen done over and over and over again. I'm curious to see them through the lens of this show and doing it the way they do it. So I'm looking forward to more of that.
Mike?
What everybody else said. I just want to see them continuing the high quality. I don't want to see them slough off because there's so much story still to be told. There's still, interesting stuff. Maybe we'll get to see, certain characters come back. I'd like to see what happens more with Charlie and her sister a little bit more. And I'd like to see, I don't want to see every single one of the guest stars come back, the side ones, like people were saying, but I want to see new folks. I want to see new stories. And, the only one I really could see coming back is the FBI guy mostly. So
I suspect at some point
we'll
see Benjamin Bratt again. I suspect at some point.
And he'll have an eye patch. Will be really cool.
And he'll still look dead sexy.
Oh yeah.
Also,
okay.
I think also, I think also that look, if someone's got a superpower, someone's got a superpower weakness. So I would expect if next season we're going to see someone who either it doesn't work, she can't tell, or is something that else that affects her superpower that makes it mute or something. Like I can see where that trope will be, because you can't just depend on that for the entire episode, right? There's going to have to be some circumstance where either it doesn't work or somebody can combat it. So she meets someone who can combat it, which I think would be kind of really interesting as well. So,
Mhm.
so I foresee all of that in the future, but whatever it is, it's going to be really, really fun to watch, as it's been fun to talk to you guys about it. It's been great. Too short, of course, but that just gives us more time to go and watch it again. Right.
Subscribe to Peacock, folks. It's well worth seeing.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be right back, and we're going to close out the show after some messages.
Awesome. All right, folks, this is the part where we just talk to our YouTube folks real quick, because we're kind of on a quick time tonight. So just real quick, other Rian Johnson projects or Natasha Lyonne's projects that you guys would recommend to the audience. Just throw it out there.
I have not seen Russian Doll yet, but after watching Poker Face, it's now on my to watch list.
Russian Doll is awesome. It's basically Groundhog Day on steroids, basically.
Because I understand she was partly responsible for creating it as well.
Yes,
like she is with Poker Face. So I'm very excited there, and of course the Knives Out movies are incredible.
It's actually interesting because Russian Doll is also, it was Natasha, but Amy Poehler helped create it too. So,
and Maya Rudolph is part of this one now.
Yeah.
The other creator for Russian Doll is the same creator for the Star Wars Acolyte series that's going to be coming out next year. I just found that out today.
Oh, nice.
And my friend told me, I'm like, oh, then it is going to be good. If she's responsible for Russian Doll, then Acolyte is like,
I definitely in the downtime need to go back, and I have not, because I have not seen Brick and I have not seen Looper, and those are two Rian Johnson movies that I've heard are great. Not only are good movies, but also we know now that Rian builds on things that he's done before and has Easter eggs for what he's done before. So I would not be at all surprised. In fact, if you're well familiar with the fallout from Last Jedi, boy, that puts that Nick Nolte episode in a really weird place to watch that and know who the certain players are and all of that. So even though that wasn't directly written by him, man, it definitely has something to do with his history with Lucasfilm.
Oh, very much so. But yeah, and there's just some great stuff. And if you haven't seen Orange is the New Black, it is a great series also. Yeah, so definitely some great stuff out there, and Looper is just awesome. Looper was.
I enjoyed Looper.
I didn't realize that he directed Looper. I just looked it up. I'm like, oh, and he wrote it too. That is
exactly.
That's I think that because it started with Brick, but I mean Joseph Gordon-Levitt has been in everything that he's done. So and it starts there,
including Glass Onion, but you have to look for it. So,
that was
pretty awesome.
As Last Jedi, you had to look for it too.
Yeah.
For Natasha Lyonne, I would suggest it's classic, but Slums of Beverly Hills. I mean, it is. I think it's from the 80s or so. And I mean, it's funny because you see her then, and she still has the wild, crazy red hair and the raspy voice. Like she has always had that voice. I mean, it got a little raspier from living life and whatnot. But I don't know. She's just such a captivating actress to me because she's not, she's redheaded. There's not a lot of redheaded actresses that get a lot of work, and she does have the raspy voice, and she's quirky and she's weird, and and she just she stands out in everything.
And she has a slight New York accent too,
a little bit.
Yeah. And that's where they filmed all of this, was in New York as well.
Yeah, it was most of it was filmed up in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah,
I was really surprised.
Some of it, I mean, they did travel because I know they did go to New Mexico. I checked on IMDb for the road stop one, the truck stop one. That was in New Mexico, and
the casino was in Laughlin, Nevada, I think, or something.
Yeah, they did travel a bit because he likes to shoot on location. He doesn't like to do a lot of soundstage. I mean, if necessary, of course, but he likes to, no volume stage, no. As little CGI as possible. He likes to be on location using practical stuff, and it shows because
and with a show like this, there really aren't a lot of standing sets because she's somewhere different,
right,
every time. So
right. But it was interesting, and I thought it was all well done, and it did feel like she was traveling the country, which was nice. Instead of, wow, the Hudson Valley is really, looks like America. It's awesome. So like put up a brochure for the Hudson Valley here,
Right.
so definitely check that out. But very cool, folks. And I think let's close up the show now. And thank you, YouTube folks, for watching the little bit of extra. We love giving this stuff to you guys. It's always great to do. And of course, like and subscribe, and hit the bell too. Let us, because we are putting out 2 episodes a week now. So definitely check it out. So we would really, really appreciate you guys. All right, let's close up the show. This is the part where we are going to basically, when this is time for you guys to promote your stuff and everything. So, definitely if you guys want, this is for you guys, do like a minute promo for yourself or however long you want. So it'd be awesome because Bobby takes 10 minutes. So it's okay. It's okay.
He's got a lot going on.
He knows me well.
Oh, do I ever? All right, folks. Thank you guys for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. We finished another one. Let us thank our guest for being here tonight. Phaedra, you made it through your first episode with us. Thank you. It was awesome.
Thank you. I had a really good time. This was a lot of fun. I love talking nerd stuff with other nerds. So
Well,
You've come to the right place.
Exactly.
Awesome.
You're with one of us now, which is
Yay.
awesome. So anytime you want to join us again, you are more than welcome.
All
So
right.
anything, we said that to
You guys
Bobby
all heard
Nash
that.
10
You
years.
said that. So
I know. I said that to Bobby Nash 10 years ago, and he hasn't gone away yet.
And now he
So,
doesn't go away. Yeah,
No.
I like to stick around. So
That's
like,
awesome.
oh great, she's here
So
again.
how can people find you? How can
You can find me. I'm a voice actor. I guess that's the one thing I want to promote. I'm on Twitter at I can do Twitter, I swear, at Phaedra Eason VO. And I've got a series coming out called Starfell. I'm one of the characters, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a YouTube animated series. And if you click on the banner, I think it's a pinned post on my Twitter, and it's definitely the banner picture. It's my character in there. I think it's going to be coming out in the next few months. I think we've hit some delays because creatives and delays and money and things because
life.
Because capitalism sucks. And yeah. So yeah, come find me on Twitter at Phaedra Eason VO.
Awesome. And Brad, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed chatting.
Awesome. Anything you want to promote or shout out about?
I am a podcast newbie. For the first time I started my own podcast. We did our first episode in the beginning of March. Our next one is coming out April 4th. It's going to be all about time travel. I started with my buddy Matt, and it's called the Geek Dream Team. You can just Google it. We spell Geek G33K because we're just that cool. So
Oh, that's going to make it nice and easy for people to find.
But yeah, so the Geek Dream Team G33K. Yeah. And our April 4th one is about time travel. So we had a lot of fun putting that together, all kinds of stuff about time travel. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, welcome aboard to the podcast family.
I'm sorry for you and your loved ones.
Exactly.
They're already feeling it.
Well, I like the logo.
It is a hard habit. It's a hard road, a hard habit to break.
I like the logo you have right behind you, right above your head, though. It's pretty spiffy.
That's right. Yeah. Had to put a plug in there for you guys.
That is awesome. It's any podcast he appears on, he'll just rip down the old one and put up the next one. That's right. Oh shoot! Earth Station One called. Ask me back again. What do you mean? Ah, damn!
We're gonna have another one.
Exactly. Bobby, thank you, my friend, for being here tonight, sir.
Oh, so good to be back. This was fun. I had a good time. This was a fun one to talk about. So,
anything you want to shout out about real quick?
Yeah, as always, bobbynash.com is my website. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. This week, or last week, the first 2 issues of my horror Western series came out. You can see them behind me here on little posters, Dante's Tent and Dante's Showdown.
Mm-hmm.
And a snow full cast audio called Snow Ride was released last week as well.
Sweet.
As part of the On Another Wavelength series. It's a prequel to Snowfall, so you get to see what happens to my character Snow before the opening of his first book. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's a lot of fun,
right.
and it's really cool. Phaedra, I'm sure will understand this being the voice actor. It's really cool to hear other people interpret your characters. You know,
I do
because
have fun with that. I do
yeah,
I do audiobooks mostly, so it's fun like creating the voice for the character that I feel when I read it, and then like it's mine now, you
yeah,
know.
because it's like
Yay!
because it never sounds like I in my head
Hmm.
it sounded, but it's always really cool and interesting to see, you know, once the actor gets a hold of it, you know, that's really cool. So yeah, good stuff.
That is awesome, sir. And Mr. Mike, we made it to another one, my friend.
We did, and as always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to shout out about, sir?
I do. I want to give a shout out to a book I read this month. It's called "Someday Is Today" by Matthew Dix. It is a relatively new release. It is all about, I don't want to call it a self-help book because it's so much more than that, but a lot of creative people like myself have a hard time finding, quote unquote, finding time. And it's easy to make excuses for why stuff doesn't get done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Matthew Dix has some effective ways to get on track. He should know. I mean, he is an accomplished novelist, columnist, screenwriter, playwright, storyteller, comedian, speechwriter, father, entrepreneur, business owner, et cetera, et cetera. The guy puts more
And so forth.
into in an hour than some people do in a week. I've already applied 3 of his suggested practices, and I've already seen some results. So there are some ideas that are not for everybody. So, but I think as a whole, it's a great book. And I have to give a second shout out to Kevin Eldridge for recommending this book. In fact, this was one of his picks when we did our holiday geek gift guide. And I can say that it's a great read, and I'm going to seek out more stuff from Matthew Dix as well. It's an entertaining read as well, even if you don't want to use any of the steps. He's a great storyteller, so I recommend it.
Awesome. Me, real quick. Been going to see live music again, and we went to a couple really great shows. And as of this time the show goes live, we're going to be even seeing more music. Folks, go see live music if you ever go get a chance. Some amazing stuff out there, and that's how a lot of bands now are making money, is by doing the concerts and everything. And so, you know, check it out. There's a lot of things touring, from the really huge bands like Springsteen, The Cure's coming, Depeche Mode, all these, you know, huge names
Live
back from
music
the
is back.
80s. Live music
Yeah.
is back in full
It's
thing.
come full circle apparently. Like
Exactly.
mhm.
But there's a lot of local bands, a lot of smaller bands, and go to the small venues. Check it out. Please. All right, folks, that is going to wrap it up. I want to thank you guys all for being here as always. And as always, we like to say thanks for listening to the Earth Station One podcast. Always remember, you couldn't do this without you guys at home. If you want to support the podcast, please check out our TeePublic store, where we have stuff on sale all the different times. And we're going to be having a new Darren Noel Memorial t-shirt coming soon. So definitely check that out. It's Wonder Warrior Lives. So definitely check that out. And every penny that goes from that t-shirt is going to be going to the charity that Darren supported most. So
Lost
I
and
think
Found.
Lost and Found
Mhm.
is pretty
Lost and Found
amazing.
Atlanta.
Exactly. So we're definitely going to, because it's actually called Lost and Found Youth, and it goes to help the LGBT community, and it's pretty awesome. And definitely check that out. Please. So the t-shirt should be live probably by the time this episode goes out there. So check it out on our TeePublic store. But we also have, of course, our Patreon. Why not join the ESO Network Patreon for as little as $1 a month? You can help support us here at Earth Station One. Just go to patreon.com/ESO Network. We want to hear from you. Please write us anytime at feedback@earthstation1.com. Remember, you could also find Earth Station One wherever fine podcasts are found. Earth Station One's there next to those really good podcasts too. We're also found on video format up on YouTube. Please subscribe and tell all your friends about us. Like and subscribe. I'm not too proud. I like to beg. Sorry. On behalf of myself, Mr. Mike Faber, Mr. Bobby Nash, Mr. Mike Gordon, Brad, and Phaedra, thank you everyone for being here. Let's go get poker faced and get the heck out of here. Peace, and we'll see you next time.